So we need to help them with infrastructure, accessibility to these places, wonderful places. But it's Malawians who are investing, knowing that if we are to become self-reliant, we must have this type of investment.
After visiting the two sites, Dr. Chakwera also engaged business leaders at Makokola Retreat. Some notable figures present during the visit were Minister of Homeland Security Ken Zikale Ngoma, Minister of Trade Sosten Gwengwe, Presidential Advisor on Economic Affairs Chancellor Kafera Banjira, heads of government departments, and traditional leaders. Owen Mavula, MBC, Mangochi.
The family of the late Dr. Salus Chilima has spoken strongly against misinformation and fake news on the death of their relative. The statement was made during a memorial service of Dr. Chilima at Nsipe Catholic Lounge in Ncheu. Timothy Gateta reports.
According to a family representative, Joshua Valera, members of the public should stop spreading fake news over the death of Dr. Chilima with an intention of igniting anger and hatred amongst the citizenry in the country. Varela, who is the cousin to late Chilima, disclosed that as a family, they'd continue mourning the late vice president, hence the need for people in the country to respect the soul of Chilima by embracing mindset change and work hard towards the prosperity of the country. He added that Chilima loved this country and members of the public should emulate his example of being patriotic and always contributing something to the social, economic, and political development of the country. In his speech, Nkosi Amakosi Goman V echoed sentiments by Varela and described Chilima as a loyal, dedicated, and influential councillor or MP of the Ngoni King, who is also known as the Ngwenyama. Nkosi Gomani further added that people in the country should continue respecting the soul of Chilima by being good citizens with a passion for their motherland. He noted that Chilima was a hard-working, loyal, strong and committed MP who was popularly known as Bieni. Apart from Vice President Dr. Michael Usi, the mass was attended by top government officials, traditional leaders, politicians and members of the public. Almost 8 bishops from Malawi and neighboring Zambia attended the mass, which was led by Bishop Peter Adrian Chifukwa of Dedza Diocese. Meanwhile, the Chilima family has donated a cross of Jesus Christ to Nsipe Parish as a symbol of commitment to continue praying with the church. Timothy Kateta, MBC News, Nsipe, Ncheu.
Government says it is geared to support families of people who lost their loved ones in the 20 July 2011 mass protest in Zuzu. Minister of Local Government and Culture Richard Chimwendo Banda was speaking at Zolozolo Cemetery in Zuzu during a memorial service in honor of the 20 July 2011 victims. Grant Mhango has compiled this report, being read by Jackson Sijali.
In exercising their constitutional rights of assembly and expression on 20 July 2011, sons and daughters came out into the streets to express their dissatisfaction with the then leadership. 20 people lost their lives, having gunned down in cold blood by the police. Since then, people from all walks of life have been gathering at Zoro Cemetery in Mzuzu as part of the commemorations of the departed souls. Representing the state president, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, minister responsible for local government, culture and unity, Richard Chimwendo Banda, assured the gathering that this year's theme towards healing and closure is timely, as government is geared to finding lasting solutions towards helping the families.
The event also tells us that dialogue and contact is very critical. As government, priority is that when people have got issues, we should sit down, talk and discuss and find a way forward. Violence has no any space in our democracy in the country. Malawi must remain one and Malawi must move as one. And the president is calling for national unity for Malawians. And where there's disagreements and misunderstandings, Malawians should sit down together and find a way forward.
On her part, a representative of the families, Mese Mfune, commended the government for their support in making the day memorable and support towards the families.
The families wanted to raise the issues like, women are suffering with the children, and Many of them are left homeless. They don't have something to do. Their children are walking up and down all around the streets. I can say they are street kids. They don't have anything to do.
In their eulogy, the clergy called upon Malawians to always promote peace and dialogue.
All political parties, whether ruling or in opposition, they should stop using the youth for violence as we go towards 2025 elections. Also, you need also to know to say, if the youth will be used for violence, that means we may not have free and fair elections.
Present during the memorial service was Minister of Defense, who is also Malawi Congress Party MCP Vice President Halim Kandavire, Alliance for Democracy Afford Enoch Chihana, government officials as well as traditional leaders.
The Malawi Law Commission says it has made progress in developing a new law that seeks to protect whistleblowers from threats. This follows revelations that whistleblowers are increasingly facing threats. Director of Law Reform at the Law Commission, Mike Chinogo, says the process to develop the law is at an advanced stage. More in this report by Trust Officer.
The drive to develop the new law comes after noting that the existing legislation does not have adequate provisions to protect whistleblowers from threats after making corruption disclosures. Director of Law Reform, Mike will now be given the right to receive state protection or else be relocated for fear of any reprisals they may face.
Such information shall be treated as confidential and the identity of that person will not be disclosed. That's all that they provide for. They never go further to provide for actual protection of the whistleblower in the event that that whistleblower is facing reprisals or repercussions.
And the acting Director General for the Anti-Corruption Bureau, Hilary Chilomba, has since expressed optimism that the new law will bring confidence to whistleblowers to disclose any illegal activities without fear of reprisals. Chilomba says under the new law, whistleblowers will also be granted the confidentiality they deserve.
It shows that people may have information, but they are afraid of the reprisal or the aftermath that will happen. So when this law is enacted, it will protect the people. At the very same time, we'll make it a point that the rights of these people are upheld.
The whistleblower protection legislation has been a recurrent theme of the Africa Anti-Corruption Day, championed by the African Union Heads of State since 2006. Trust Office, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Minister of Tourism Vera Kantugule has urged stakeholders in the tourism sector to draw lessons from this year's Tourism Expo and start planning for the 2025 Expo. Kantugule was speaking in Blantyre when she met tourism stakeholders who participated in this year's Tourism Expo in April. Kenneth Jali with a report.
The minister says the 2024 Tourism Expo, held under the theme Ipatsemoto Everything Tourism between April 25 and 27 in Lilongwe, was a great success. The expo, she says, attracted close to 280 exhibitors, an increase from last year's 120, leading to increased bookings and awareness. The minister called on the stakeholders to start planning and budgeting for next year's event.
Every year we host the Malawi International Tourism Expo. We do that so that our hosted buyers put it on their calendar. So we don't want to be firefighting because there's a lot of activities that are happening around the world as far as expos are concerned. So we want to be there on people's calendars every single year. So I didn't want to be going to, or even the government. So even if it doesn't have to be me as Minister of Tourism, but anybody that would be there in my state. But going to companies and saying, we want you to give us 5 million, 10 million and whatever. I wanted us to establish relationships, partnerships with these institutions. And I'll tell you why. It's a two-way relationship. When we stand on any podium across the world, we are not advertising Malawi Ministry of Tourism or the Tagula and the Expo. We are advertising Malawi, the country. So for me, I wanted to establish relationships where they put us on their calendar. They should be the ones calling us to say, are you really hosting this year's meeting? We have this in our budget. So that, it works very well for both of us. And because we have one country, it is incumbent upon.
Stanley Kabango, Moods Park and Resort General Manager, concurs with the minister.
This year you'd have appreciated the stands. The stands the participants made this year were 4 times better than what we did last year. So preparations for next year we should improve. So improvements need time. So I think preparing well in advance is a good thing.
The government has made tourism one of its focus areas in its quest to improve the country's economy. Kenneth Jali, MBC News, Blantyre.
You're watching the morning edition of MBC News, and you're with me, Evelis Chingambi. A reminder of our top stories. President Chakwera hails business players in Mangochi for their resilience in rebuilding the sector in the face of climatic shocks. Family of the former late Dr. Saulos Chilima speaks strongly against misinformation on the death of their relative. And in business news, a train carrying 800,000 litres of fuel offloads at Blantyre Depot after rail rehabilitation. Welcome back. Female journalists in the country have been advised to use artificial intelligence AI while maintaining professional and ethical journalism. Director of News and Programs at Malawi Broadcasting Corporation, MBC, Zilani Konjipiri, made the remarks in Lilongwe during Women in News Win Alumni Skills Building and Networking Conference. More with Lonjezo Sodoga.
According to Director of News and Programs at Malawi Broadcasting Corporation, MBC, Zilani Konjipiri, the world is changing and moving too fast. Hence, the need for media personnel to embrace change and be able to use artificial intelligence AI wisely while maintaining their professionalism.
It's very, very important that as we are adapting to the change, or we are moving towards the digital world where everything is on AI, we have to think of our values as journalists. So the women have to think of that. What are my values? What is my profession? How do I maintain professionalism despite that all this information that you can find? You can just Google something, you type anything and it gives you everything that you want. But how do you balance that up? We can't ignore AI. We need to integrate that into our newsrooms and train our staff to do that.
Piri also emphasized on the importance of creating an environment where female journalists can rise to higher positions in the sector if they have relevant qualifications.
In terms of gender, it's quite interesting to look at the gender in media, because we talked about women in positions within the media houses. We can't run away from the fact that in Malawi, the newsrooms, very few have women in that leadership position. MBC has got a director, secondly is the controller of news, who are female. But in other media institutions, media houses, do they have that? If they don't have that, what is the problem? And how can we ensure that during employment, or as people are being promoted, that there is that inclusion of women?
Karen Piri Rubika is the manager for Accelerator and Alumni World Association of News Publishers, WANIFRA, Women in News. Rubika said such trainings are crucial in promoting networks that can lead women to achieve greater things in different sectors, not just in media.
Women are able. They are capable when given an opportunity. So we are coming in to close that gap of having a deficit in women not being in management positions. So they are being prepared to take over. They are being prepared to be in the forefront, in terms of leadership and also in the content that they produce.
The workshop brought together various female journalists from different institutions in the country, including journalism students. Lonjezo Sodoka, MBC News, Lilongwe.
In business news, a train carrying 800,000 litres of fuel has offloaded at Blantyre Depot. This comes as a result of the refurbishment of the Nacala port in Mozambique last year, where leaders of the region, including Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, witnessed its relaunch. Telson Magombo has compiled this report, being read by Blessings Chalewuga.
A train arriving at Matindi Nokma Depot in Blantyre. Starting from August last year, this has been the trend. But what does this mean to ensure that Malawi has fuel in its reserves? Michael Malanga is a depot manager for NOCMA in Blantyre.
So as NOCMA, we are having a number of initiatives to implement the Vision 2020. And one of them is to diversify our means of transport, of bringing fuel into the country. So apart from getting fuel through the road, we are also getting fuel from Nakala through the rail. And from Nakala, we started with Blantyre Depot. That was in August last year. And from August to date, we have managed to bring 605 wagons, which is equivalent to about 23 million liters, which is about 30% or thereabout of our total volume that we have managed to bring in from April last year to date.
President Chakwera last year was in Nakala, Mozambique, where this fuel is imported from. From that time, Malawi has been improving its railway line networks to ensure fuel is brought in by rail, as Malanga explains.
We are doing Nakala to Blantyre, but there are also arrangements or plans in place to increase the volume of bringing fuel through the rail, through the Sena corridor. Currently, there's a bilateral relationship between Malawi and Mozambique. So our colleagues in Mozambique, they have managed to do the construction of the rail line from Mozambique to Malacca in Sanje. And currently the government of Malawi is also constructing the Malawi part. But recently, there are arrangements that we can still start bringing fuel through the Malacca port by using what we call transshipping. So the trains will be able to come cross the border into Malawi, and then we can move the product from the wagons to trucks, and then move the fuel through trucks from Sanje, Malacca border to Blantyre.
The country requires a total of 60 million liters of fuel reserves, with 50 million liters in central and southern regions and 10 million liters in northern region.
Still in business, Salima Sugar Company Limited, in its quest to expand its distribution network in the country, has appointed Cleo Investment India and Day in Blantyre to ensure availability of the commodity in the township. The company's sales officer, Nelly Kajawa, says the opening of the new branch symbolizes its commitment to becoming a fully Malawian company. Managing Director of the Cleo Investment, Yotam Katundu, hailed Salima Sugar Company Limited for trusting Malawian business people in its network of expansion. He said the development means sugar will no longer be scarce in the township.
As you have seen, we are here distributing our sugar. We are here to sell the sugar to our customers. You know, in the first place, our customers were complaining. They were finding difficulties to have this sugar. So together with the help of our chairman, executive chairman, Webster Peter Kosa, he thought it wise to have distributors all over the world, all over Malawi. That's why you have seen us here having Cleo Investments as one of our distributors, so that people within Blantyre, within Zealand, should not have difficulties to come and find this sugar. We'll keep on distributing the sugar to our distributors. We don't want any other break. We want the Malawian people to have sugar from January to December. We don't want Malawians to have any other difficulties. So we are assuring everyone that we will continue with our supply chain. We will continue distributing the sugar without any break.
I just want to thank so much Salima Sugar for giving this opportunity to Malawians to take part in the running of this distributorship in Malawi. You know, in the past, it was very rare that a Malawian like me would be appointed as a distributor, especially to distribute a commodity like sugar. But look at Salima Sugar, is giving opportunities to so many Malawians to take part in doing a distributorship. Therefore, I really thank Salima Sugar.
And that item concludes this edition of MBC News. A reminder of our top stories. President Chakwera hails business players in Mangochi for their resilience in rebuilding the sector in the face of climatic shocks. Family of the former late Dr. Saulos Chirima speaks strongly against misinformation on the death of their relative. And in business news, a train carrying 800,000 litres of fuel offloads at Blantyre Depot after rail rehabilitation. For more on these and other stories, follow MBC Digital on Facebook, X, Instagram, and our website mbc.mw. I am Evelyn Jingambe. Thanks for watching and have a lovely Sunday.